All right, gang, how you guys doing today? Real quick, don't get intimidated by all the tools. I'm going to show you how to install a power handle on a bait casting reel. Now, I say bait casting reel, but this will apply to pretty much any reel. There's a couple different things that some reels have and some reels don't. Now, that includes on a Shimano SLX, I had already done about 4 power handles. Now, when I took the handle off on the Shimano SLX and then I didn't know this was going to happen. So I let go of the drag star here and then it popped up and there was a very tiny spring under there about the size of a grain of rice. Now, all the reels don't have that. I've only encountered the Shimano, the Shimano SLX that had that. So just beware when you do take off the handle. If you're going to just swap the handle and not mess with anything else, then keep some pressure on the drag star just so that you know that nothing's going to come apart on you. Now, I've only just done power handle changes on reels since in the past couple months, but I've been fishing for years, and don't let a reel that you like that comes with a double paddle handle, don't let that intimidate you into not buying the reel, because a power handle installation is very simple. So we're going to do a installation on an Abu Garcia Silver Max. Okay, but this technique can also be applied to many other reels. All right, so the other one thing I want to tell you is there's a washer sometimes on these reels underneath the handle. Okay, right underneath the handle, in between the star drag and the handle where I'm brushing, sometimes there's a washer in there, so just beware of that. So the spring sometimes is under the star drag, and there's a washer usually under the handle in between the star drag and the handle. Now let's get started. So we have a little Phillips head screw here. We have a plate that goes around the nut that goes up, that keeps the handle in place. And then we have the nut itself. So let's go ahead and we're going to loosen this Phillips screw. We're going to take it all the way out. And if you're doing this, you want to be on a table like I am or flat surface. This way, if anything drops, you'll know where it is and you won't lose it. So we're going to take that screw out. Okay. We're going to take this plate off. Now, see, I'm trying to pick at it. It's not coming. Just flip the reel. It'll come right off. Okay. Reel's not going to come apart still because you got this locking nut on here. Okay. So we got our plate. And let me tell you something about this plate. So on one side, it's perfectly flat, so that when you put it on here, it seats better. The other side is slightly rounded. So just keep that in mind. Okay. When you go to put it back on, one side's flat. The other side is a little bit rounded. Now, my tools for the job. Really, I only need the Phillips head, and then I'm going to need something to take this nut off here. So, this right here, this came with my Shimano Dakota reel. Unfortunately, it doesn't fit on this nut. Okay, so I'm going to use an adjustable wrench. Okay, small adjustable. Now, if you're using something to loosen this, I did manage to scratch one of my handles one time. So if you're trying to keep it pristine, just be cautious. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on there, like so. Hold the handle and just counterclockwise to loosen. That's it. So I loosened it. You can do the rest by hand. Okay. All right, so the nut is off. This is what we're looking like now. This is the axle or spindle that that locking screw will screw into. Now at this point, if this was the stock reel with the stock handle, comes right off, no problem. Now look, underneath here, that washer that I was telling you about is right there on the spindle. That will come off sometimes when you take the handle off. You just slide it right back on. Now, the reverse process. This is the new handle. I'm going to take it, put it on. It's on there as far as I can go. I'm then going to take this locking nut, screw it on, careful not to cross thread. Okay, which I think I might be cross threaded right now. You can just back it off. Okay, now, still cross threading. Sometimes they can be a little tough to get on there. But once you find the right spot, I'm going to hold it to the side a little bit so I can see what's going on. It's just this one screw. It can be a little bit sensitive sometimes. And it's giving me quite a problem right now, but it'll go eventually. There we go. Okay, so the nut is all the way on, hand tight, okay? Now, if we put the plate back on, we're going to put the plate back on just to show you something here. So, I put the plate on, but look at what we got here. The holes don't line up. What that means is we then have to tighten this nut so that this hole here lines up with that hole there. Otherwise, we can't get our little Phillips screw back in. So sometimes you can do this with this washer on. Okay, I moved it a little bit. We'll do it with the washer on so that we know when we've reached that hole. Now this plate here you can take off and put in different positions. See there, it lines up perfect. But I'm not content with how tight this nut is just yet. And I've tightened some pretty darn good and haven't stripped the axle that it screws onto. But you really don't have to go that tight. I mean, this is going to keep that nut in place, okay? So let's go ahead. We'll put this on. Now we're going to use our adjustable. I want to get it into a better position. Okay, so I got a little bit of a way to go. I'm going to tighten. I'd say I used 3 or 4 pounds of my strength to tighten that. Okay, not a big deal. The hole is almost lining up. Okay, we're going to adjust the position on this. And it's just almost lined up there. Almost. So we'll go a little bit more. A little bit more. Just a hair now we got to go. Just a hair. That should be good. There we go. If you can see that, this Phillips screw is now going to go back in. So our Phillips screw goes back in. Tighten it by hand first to speed up the process. Take our Phillips head. Tighten it down. I'm going to actually use this flat head because I'm able to get it a little tighter. This screw, I would say you're going to want pretty tight. You know, you obviously don't want to strip it, but the tighter that you can go, the better. You know,